Prep time, short for preparation time, can be an important factor in both versus battles and hypothetical situations depending on the characters used or the scenario in general. As I've mentioned in previous videos, physical stats such as strength, speed, and durability are usually the most important parts of a fight, but other factors can come into play such as the location, the mental state of the characters, and of course, the prep time given beforehand. Some characters would never use prep time or wouldn't make great use of it. Think Buddhist characters like Doomsday who would jump into fights head first. Give them all the prep time in the world and it still probably wouldn't change the way the fight would play out. But it can be game changing if you give any sort of preparation to an intelligent or strategic character. The best example of this type of character is of course Batman. He's roughly a street level fighter, usually going toe to toe with pretty human characters. But with the right amount of time, he can make suits and weapons that allow him to fight against characters with godlike powers and world-ending threats. But typically, prep time is given to characters who would otherwise stand little to no chance of winning. If you've ever watched Home Alone, then you would have seen the montage of Kenny setting up traps for the would-be robbers after finding out that his house was their next target. And it doesn't take a big brain genius to know that Kevin wouldn't have stood a chance had he tried to tangle with them mano a mano. But in most situations, simply knowing the motivations, fighting styles, abilities, or weaknesses of your opponent can be the difference maker. Of course, there's levels to the effectiveness of prep time. Give Kevin a whole year to prepare and he still wouldn't be able to stop Catwoman from robbing his house. Meanwhile, a character as smart as Tony Stark could whip up a suit to fight against someone at Superman's strength in a week or two. Some characters don't have the intelligence or resources to make suits or special weapons to fight against high tiers, but take their preparation to learn about who they're fighting and the best strategy to go about achieving their goals. Think of someone like John Wick or James Bond. And then there are characters who you'd need preparation to fight against. If you've ever seen the YouTube show Hell of a Boss, then you'd be familiar with the character Stolas. And we learned that he can only be hurt with holy weapons, so a random fight against lower tier characters would almost certainly go in his favor. Or those with insta-win abilities like Ghost Rider's Penance Stare or Medusa's ability to turn you to stone. If you aren't aware of what these guys are capable of, then there's little to no chance of winning a fight against them. Calling back to my last video, cross-verse battles would require the characters to have preparation to know anything about each other. If you take someone from Marvel and put them against someone from Mortal Kombat, they would have no clue on what the other's capable of unless prep is explicitly stated. Prep is especially effective against those with exploitable weaknesses like Superman with kryptonite or red solar radiation. People willing to do the research and somehow get their hands on the material can even the playing field against any Kryptonian that would otherwise wipe the floor with them. But this sort of thing doesn't only apply to tangible stat-reducing materials. Villains preparing for a run-in with a hero may use hostages against them, using the hero's strong morals to get away or achieve whatever goal they were after. But the knowledge of what you're up against shouldn't be understated. Aside from fights, I find that preparation is extremely useful in apocalyptic scenarios. And I don't just mean the standard doomsday bunkers, although that would also count. The new Bird Box movie should be out around the time that I post this, so I think it's relevant to talk about here. But I remember the first time watching the movie and wondering how anyone could reliably survive an encounter. Because this isn't some visible monster that you can run from or fight against. It's as simple as you look at it and you die. The people who survived only did so out of sheer luck. The Walking Dead used to be my favorite show of all time, and a detail I liked about it is that they didn't have zombies in TV or movies the way that we do. So although it may be common knowledge for us, they had no idea that a bite meant certain death. I mean, basic survival instincts will tell you, don't let the walking corpse nibble on your arm, but you get my point. My point is that in many apocalyptic settings, most were taken out in the first wave because they had no idea what they were dealing with. And had they somehow known and prepared for the threat, their chances of survival would have gone up tremendously. Obviously, these are just what-if scenarios because how could they have possibly known? Thank you guys for watching to the very end. These short little ramblings disguised as conversation pieces are fun to do. But next week I'll be making a video on either just Stolas from Hell of a Boss, or I'll be kind of gauging the power of each of Hell's rulers. Also, I'm still waiting on the thumbnail for the Dead by Daylight video, but it's 100% done. It's in the drafts ready to go, so it'll be right out right when I get it. Subscribe to see when those are out, and I'll see you guys later.